Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Bat Around. Ryan and I were actually talking about the Orioles records on different days throughout the week, and I looked down and I realized we had 10 seconds till showtime. So no music or countdown today. We're just jumping right into it.
Let's do it.
Today's show brought to you by Atman's. Are you craving that classic New York deli experience? Look no further than the new Atman's Deli in Baltimore's Harbor Point. Corned beef piled high, hand-rolled bagels, and something different, a bar. Atman's Harbor Point. Go to atmansdeli.com for daily specials. I'm Paul Valley. He's Ryan Blake. Ryan, how are you this morning?
I'm good, man. I was supposed to have T-ball. This was going to be my first of a series of missed shows for the next month and a half, but head coach on vacation, a couple players are going to miss it. They moved some schedules around, so I'm free this week, but next week will it be Luke filling in for me next week?
I asked him, he said the 4th, and I said yes, and then he didn't respond, but we'll figure it out. He's usually pretty good about getting back to me. So if I text him, he'll probably be like, "Oh yeah, no, I can do it," or "No, I can't." So yeah. But it'll be all good. What wasn't all good was the result of that game last night. And it was one of those games, Ryan, where I'm watching it, and the game to me was never in doubt going into the 9th inning.
Agreed.
Even though it was 2-1, it was never in doubt to me until they got into the 9th inning. And then Kimbrel very clearly, 2 batters into the inning, did not have it. He did not have it. Now I get it. You got to trust him. You have to trust him because he's Craig Kimbrel, to get out of that inning to close things out, even though he let the first 2 guys reach. After the 3rd guy reaches, after the 4th guy reaches, you got to pull him. You've got to pull him out of the game. Hyde let him walk the bases loaded. He and then he comes out and he gets him, and he didn't retire a batter. He faced 5 batters. They all reached. He got an out on a wild pitch where they ended up getting the out at the plate. But otherwise, he didn't retire a batter. Now, that should have been, I don't know if it should have been the second out or if it shouldn't have even happened because they should have already been an out. There should have been an out. There was a fly ball to right field that McKenna got. And let's be fair. It was a line shot off the bat.
That's a tough read.
It's a tough read.
But
when Ryan McKenna, who was brought in for the departing Jackson Holliday, who was reassigned to AAA yesterday prior to the game, he was brought in to be a defensive replacement for a right fielder who has made every play this year, including a number of plays just like the one McKenna didn't make last night. And Jacob Calvin-Meyer tweeted out that the line drive that went for a double that hit off McKenna's glove. So for all you people saying nobody would have caught that ball, McKenna got a terrible jump and it still hit his glove. So yes, somebody would have caught that ball. Tony Taters likely would have caught that ball. I guess you can't say likely, but I have the confidence in Tony Taters because he's made 5 or 6 plays just like that already this year, including one earlier in the game.
Yeah,
where he had to leap and leapt into the fence to catch the ball. He's made those plays routinely. McKenna's brought in as a defensive replacement in the 9th inning, and the first chance he gets, 85% catch probability. His jump was negative 12.4 feet. I didn't know that was a thing. That means he ran in 12.4 feet before he realized, oh crap, that ball is hit further than I thought. And then he had to adjust and run back, and he still got a glove on it. To me, Ryan McKenna shouldn't be on this roster to begin with. And then, I said one thing last year about Brandon Hyde and how I don't think he's a good in-game manager. And then I was like, you know what? I did this all year in 2022. I watched him cost the team games down the stretch in a playoff run. I'm not going to do it this year. I don't feel like dealing with the BS that comes with that. I couldn't keep my mouth shut yesterday. I've watched him these last 3 weeks do mind-numbingly stupid things, in my opinion. And I guess that's a polarizing statement, but we'll get into that here in a little bit. Of course, Brandon Hyde finds a way to get his good buddy Ryan McKenna into a game that he doesn't need to be in last night. He doesn't need to be there. Jackson Holliday got demoted to AAA and didn't play last night. And he's an everyday player. Ryan McKenna gets promoted to the majors, and he gets into a ball game that's 2-1 in the ninth inning. By the way, we give all this credit to Ramon Arias for winning a Gold Glove at third base 2 years ago, even though his defensive metrics have been not great since then, and he's got to play. Anthony Santander is a former Gold Glove finalist, and his defense has only gotten better. And we're removing him in the ninth inning of a one-run game. Even if you blow the save, now you've got McKenna's bat in place of Anthony Santander's in the lineup.
Exactly.
And yeah, okay, that happened on June 24th, 2023 against the Mariners, and McKenna hit a walk-off 3-run homer. That is never going to happen again. It is never going to happen again. I understand that McKenna's got speed and he's got range. He does, but I also understand that he catches fly balls next to his ear. He has 3 years in a row made an early season defensive blunder that has now cost the Orioles a game. He doesn't need to be here, and he is, and it's that much more magnified because he's the one guy that the basically the fan base pretty much is in agreement that they don't want him here. And he makes that blunder of a play in the ninth inning, and the Orioles end up losing a game to the Oakland Athletics, who have the worst offense in baseball. They have a team batting average of 201. They're the worst offense in baseball, and you lose a ball game to them. I didn't think I was going to rant. I'm sorry.
Look, I'm so tired of talking about this guy. Look, Ryan McKenna as a person, I'm sure you're a good dude. I don't know you as a person. I can't judge you as a person. I'm tired of talking about him as a baseball player. And what did I say, Paul, at the end of spring training when he was designated for assignment? I said he's going to follow the DJ Stewart path where he's going to clear waivers, he's going to be reassigned to AAA, and he's going to find his way back onto the roster. Mm-hmm. And sure enough, a month later, he's replacing Jackson Holliday, of all people, which if you look at Holliday's demotion in a vacuum, it makes sense, right? Yeah. He was really bad, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. To replace him with Ryan McKenna is that's just the crux of everything that annoys me, I guess, because this guy's 27 years old. He's not a prospect anymore. We know what he is. We know what he brings to the table. It's maybe a little bit above average defense. It's good speed, elite speed, even if you want to, go that far. And what else? Nothing. We know what we're getting from him. Meanwhile, Connor Norby is in his third year at AAA and has done absolutely nothing but smoke the ball. Mm-hmm. And look, I understand that I understand that this is a temporary move, right? Ryan McKenna is not going to be on this roster for more than a few weeks, I wouldn't think. Austin Hayes is going to be back at some point, and McKenna is going to be the odd man out. So I understand that by adding him back to the 40-man roster, he's a guy who is on the chopping block in the near future. And if you were to add a guy like Connor Norby to the 40-man roster and bring him up, it would probably be, again, for a temporary stay, and then you have to use one of his options that, you'd not ideally
the
like
roster flexibility. If you need to clear space on the roster for somebody else, you're not going to do it with him. And he's going to come up to sit on the bench because he's not going to play second base right now over Jordan Westburg because they're going to put Ramon at third base because Brandon Hyde loves him. Yeah. And he's not going to play the outfield very much. So he's coming up to not play much. You're correct.
Yeah. So, but look, what does the guy have to do? I mean, we're going to talk again later about another Oriole who was traded away and is getting regular playing time now. I want that so badly for Connor Norby. I want Norby to contribute. I want him to be a Baltimore Oriole. I think he's good enough to be a mainstay in the Orioles lineup. But the fact of the matter is we don't have space for him right now, and he's got nothing at all left to prove in AAA. Free that man. Trade him. Yeah. Trade him for some relief help. give him an opportunity somewhere else. I'll be the first one to root for him on a different team. I don't know. If I'm in Connor Norby's position, I'm like, what the hell do I got to do? Because now McKenna has been he's been practicing second base down at AAA. And I don't know if that means we're going to ever see McKenna in a game at second base at the major league level, but that's Norby's position.
Mm-hmm.
So now you got this guy who's 27 years old, has done nothing for the last 5 years, but shown that he is not a capable major league baseball player. And now Norby's playing second fiddle to him too.
Yeah.
I feel bad for the guy.
It doesn't make a lot of sense. Dan Connolly tweeted out yesterday, and he's not wrong. Connor Norby has spent parts of 3 seasons at AAA. He doesn't have 3 seasons at AAA. He played like 10 games there in 2022, a full season there last year, and then like 23 or 24 games there this year. So he's got like 170 games under his belt at AAA. But he has been good enough that he ended his 2022 season at AAA, spent his entire 23 season there, and started his 24 season there.
Right.
Which means there aren't many prospects that would still be there.
Right.
On any other team, he'd be in the lineup almost on a daily basis.
Yeah. And I was just going to say, even when he was announced as part of the break camp roster for the Tides this year, he quote tweeted and was like, year 3, let's go Tides. And you could just feel the passive aggression in that.
Especially because he hit like 450.
Yeah,
in spring training.
Granted, he got a delayed start because of an injury, but he hit really well in the opportunities he had.
But the guy deserves to be here. Hit another home run 2 nights ago. He hit another home run. This just wasn't the time for him. It just wasn't. I'm not going to bitch about it because I don't think that he was going to. I'm not saying that you're bitching about it, but I'm not going to complain about it because if he got caught up at this point, it would be to not play.
Right. And I do understand that. It's just like, it's one of those things that you look at his body of work and what he's accomplished over the last several years in the minors. And it's like, if anybody deserves a shot, it's this guy. And it's certainly not Ryan McKenna. But logistically speaking, I get it,
Exactly. And it wasn't all bad in that game last night. Like again, the Orioles had a 2-1 lead going into the 9th inning with their closer who had one fluky blown save this year and had been pretty damn dominant otherwise.
Yeah.
Corbin Burns. And I feel like every start except his first start, they've said, and he had one other start where he went into, I think he threw 7 innings and 1 run ball and was just really good. But aside from those 2 starts, I feel like every start is, that's what an ace does. Corbin Burns doesn't have his best stuff tonight, and he still gutted out 6 innings. He gutted out 6 innings last night. Six innings pitched, 1 earned run. He gave up that first inning home run again.
This is the 3rd of 6 starts in which Corbin Burns has allowed a 2-out solo home run in the first inning and then not given up a run the rest of the game. All 3 times he's given up that homer. And I'm not counting the Brewers game because that was a leadoff homer and it doesn't fit my narrative. And he gave up a couple more runs later there. But every time he's given out a 2-out solo homer in the first, he's dominated the rest of the game.
Did he give up a home run in the first of the Brewers game? Because I thought that he
the Brewers game was William Contreras' leadoff homer.
Okay, and then was it a 2-run homer that he gave up later in the game?
I don't know if it was another.
No. You know what? I'm thinking of the Angels. I'm thinking of the game, or was it the Royals? The game against the Royals. I'm thinking of last Saturday's start when he had a shutout going into the 7th inning and he gave up a 3-run homer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was last
Saturday when I was telling you that I know he'll have starts where he gets into the 6th inning, looks like he's cruising, and then gives up a bomb and doesn't get the quality start. And sure enough, that day it happens again. 3-run homer to Salvi Perez with 2 outs in the 6th, and then gets yanked.
Yep, exactly. And look, offensively, the Orioles didn't do much, but Mullins did hit a home run. O'Hearn went 2 for 4, drove in a run. Somebody posted yesterday, Bill from the Shore on Twitter. He tweeted out, he's like, I hate that he just gave up the home run, but I know the Orioles aren't going to lose this game 1-0. It was pretty damn close, man. Yeah. I mean, they scored 2 runs yesterday. And that's the real issue here is that the Orioles, against one of the worst teams in baseball, put up 2 runs.
Yeah. And
Ross Stripling had a 5.55 ERA. Now, look, he had been a lot better his last 2 starts. but or actually, I think it was his last 3 starts. No, I'm thinking of today's start. I'm thinking of JP Sears.
Yeah.
But Stripling had been better, but the ERA was above 5.5 going into last night's game, and he shuts you down for what, 6-7 innings last night. And then look, Mason Miller is phenomenal. I tweeted out like all these people shaking in their boots over Mason Miller in his 19 career games, like miss me with that. Yes, he is extraordinarily good. I still don't think that this team of all teams should be scared of anybody down by a run late in the game. Like we've seen what this team has done in the past. They have their 1 through 9 hitters in that lineup last night can all hit the ball over the fence. So for me, it was like there's not a worry in my mind. It ended up they went down in order and quickly.
All
but
3 strikeouts.
And Miller was absolutely nasty. And actually, it didn't Kerstad ground out. Kerstad didn't strike out. Yeah, Kerstad grounded out to like weakly either the second or the first base. He looked like he was going to strike out because he swung mightily and missed at 2 high fastballs to start the at bat. My computer just logged off on me. Can you still hear me?
Yeah. We're still live. Looks all good. Yeah, Kerstad grounded out. He rolled over to Darryl Hernandez at second base.
Yeah, he rolled over. By the way, Hernandez was just optioned, and now he's back. What happened?
Yeah,
there?
Someone went on the what's his name? Zach Geloff went on the IL.
Oh, okay. So the offense didn't do their job. Starting pitching did its job, and the bullpen, Burns went 6 innings. The bullpen had a clean 7th. They had a clean 8th. They get into the 9th inning, and Kimbrel just wasn't good. And Kimbrel even took accountability after the game. He said, "This loss is on me. I wasn't good, and I need to be better. We'll go out tomorrow and get that W." Like he took accountability. He didn't need to do that because he's been really good otherwise, but he did it, and it's appreciated, right?
Yeah.
Before we get into this, because I know that if we get into this, we're going to talk for a long time. I got to pay a bill here. Royal Farms chicken is cheaper by the dozen. Right now, get a 12-piece mix for just $20. Plus, if you upgrade your Royal Farms rewards account to include ROFO Pay, you'll save 15 cents per gallon on gas through June 30th. So stop by your neighborhood Royal Farms today for these and other great offers. And go ahead and pick up a press box print edition. So ROFO, I'm actually going to be stopping by there on my way to an open house today. I'm craving a chicken slider, so I'm doing it. Go. I want to talk about this because I just really feel like Brandon Hyde has mismanaged his bullpen so completely terribly. And it reared its ugly head again last night, right? So, I'll go back to – there are a couple ones that stand out to me. Danny Coulombe threw 10 pitches against the Twins, and Hyde yanked him out of the game. And then Jacob Webb came in and immediately gave up the game-tying runs. Then there was was it Jordan or Jonathan Heasley coming into pitch in long relief, who has been terrible his entire big league career, and he doesn't get an out. When you had Dylan Tate, who hadn't pitched in 3 days, sitting there, and Dylan Tate has been known to come in and hold things down for you in that situation in the past. And I get that Dylan Tate maybe isn't fully back yet, but Dylan Tate at 80% is better than Jonathan Heasley at 100%.
Yeah.
And then Danny Coulombe in another game, he threw 11 pitches and was taken out. And I can't remember who was brought in favor of him. It worked out in that instance, but he didn't need to be taken out of the game. And then I go back and I look at last Sunday for Cole Irvin. 6 2/3 shutout innings. He's at 93 pitches. He's got the 9-hitter coming up. He's batting like 186. You are in the middle of a road trip that goes to Kansas City and then to Anaheim without a day off. So Sunday after the game, it's a getaway day. You're flying out to Anaheim. Your bullpen's already been taxed this year, and they've been giving up a lot of runs recently. And instead of letting Cole Irvin finish out the game and get 7 shutout innings, he takes him out in favor of Jacob Webb. And Webb gets the out, and then Webb gets another out to start the 8th inning. And then he brings in Coulombe for 2/3 of an inning. And then he brings in, I think, Cano to end the game, right? you used a pitcher that you didn't need to use in that game. And now you have to go out to the West Coast. And even though, you're already in Kansas City, it's still a 2-hour time difference going from Kansas City to the West Coast. And you don't have a day off. Your bullpen has been in trouble recently. Why, Ryan, does it make sense to pull Cole Irvin with the 9-hitter up in a shutout with 2 outs in the 6th inning, less than 100 pitches? I mean, 2 outs in the 7th inning at less than 100 pitches. Why do you need to use that extra pitcher? And, maybe you bring Jacob Webb in the 8th inning. You don't need to use Danny Coulomb at all. I know Danny Coulomb is one of your best relievers, and maybe you want to save him for maybe you need him the next night. Like, to me, it just didn't make any sense. And I'm just going to say his name. Jason La Canfora said on the radio, like, I would have taken Cole Irvin out there too. I would have taken him out too. No, the hell you wouldn't. There is no logical explanation for taking him out, cruising at 93 pitches with a shutout and 2 outs in the 7th inning with the 9-hitter up. There is not a manager in baseball outside of Brandon Hyde that would have taken him out of the game there. It just doesn't make sense to me. It worked out, but now you're seeing the trickle-down effect because now you have bullpen guys that you can't use. And by the way, does Dylan Tate exist anymore? Does he exist anymore?
Not in high leverage situations.
He pitches once a week.
Yeah.
Like, your thoughts?
I get that maybe you're trying to slow roll Dylan Tate. Like you said, he might not be at 100% yet. Look, and maybe that's really the crux of the issue, right? Is that Dylan Tate is not going to be available as often as we would like, at least at the beginning of the year. I think that there's a lot of blame to go around here, right? I think it's easy to say, and it's not wrong to say, that Brandon Hyde's ability to manage a bullpen is not great. Yeah.
You'll sugarcoat it. I hate him. So I'll say, I think Brandon Hyde is a terrible manager, and I kept my mouth shut all year last year. He, in my opinion, he's the worst manager to ever win Manager of the Year. His team is good, and he's great for vibes. I think he's a terrible on-field in-game manager. But I digress.
I'm not going to disagree with you. I'm not sure I'd say he's terrible, but I definitely think there's a lot to be desired when it comes to his bullpen management. Look, I think the real issue that we have here is that aside from bringing in Craig Kimbrel, the bullpen was not addressed coming into the season. Mm-hmm. And now Brandon Hyde is in a position where he's kind of had his hand forced at times to use a Jacob Webb or a Mike Baumann in a situation that those two guys should never see in game, right? Mm-hmm. We've seen it with Baumann in extra innings a couple times. And last year, those were games where Felix Bautista would pitch the 9th and the 10th typically. Instead, now we have Kimbrel, who is a 1-inning guy at most, and then Baumann for the 10th, and, keep your fingers crossed. Say a little prayer to the Lord. It's not an ideal situation for a manager. With that said, he's often very quick to have a hook on a guy, especially a guy who is cruising late into the game. Cole Irvin has a clean injury history, as far as I know, for the most part at least, and he's able to pitch deep into games. And when he's got the stuff working for him, especially he's gotten the first 2 guys out in the 7th inning, he's not quite at 100 pitches yet, which is an arbitrary number anyway, by the way, but that's a whole different discussion. Mm-hmm. The 9-hitter coming up, like you said, there's no reason to pull him there and use an extra guy, especially one of your better guys when you have a 3-run lead, right? So, yeah, definitely a lot to be desired there. But the bullpen really needs to be addressed. They've got to have a couple acquisitions, and maybe those guys come from in-house. Maybe it's a Cole Irvin to the bullpen or a Tyler Wells to the bullpen when he's healthy once we get John Means or Kyle Bradish back. And maybe that, helps soften the blow a little bit that some of these other relievers are taking. But the bullpen as it stands now is not fit to help a team win a World Series. It's as simple as that.
It's not. And, and we've been on here saying Cole Irvin shouldn't be in this rotation. But he did a great job last Sunday. And he had some bad luck in that start against Boston. He has been, you said it on the show a couple of weeks ago, he's been a number 5 starter.
Yeah.
He's been a number 5 starter. Number 5 starter is going to do what he does. Gives up probably 3 runs in 5 or 6 innings. And then occasionally he'll give you that 6 1/3, 7 innings of, 0 to 2 run ball. That's what's going to happen. It's like,
and he'll have a few starts where he goes 4 and gives up 5. It happens.
Yeah.
But as far as number 5 starters go, I think Cole Irvin's been pretty damn good this year.
Yeah, he's been better his last couple of starts too. Like the first couple starts left something to be desired. That start against Boston, like he was out of the inning. He had struck the guy out. It got called a ball, and then the next guy hit for a ball 4, and then the next guy hits a 2-run homer.
Yeah.
Maybe he shouldn't give up the 2-run homer, but the inning should have been over.
He made the pitch that he needed to make to get out of it before giving up the homer. Yeah,
exactly.
I'd be curious to look at his numbers compared to other 5 starters around the league.
Yeah, I would too, to be honest with you. And by the way, I looked up Kyle Gibson's numbers yesterday. He's got like a 4.64 ERA. Totally Kyle Gibson. He's gone 3 starts of 6 innings or more where he's allowed 2 runs or less, and he's gone another 3 starts where he's gone 5 innings. One start he went 7 innings, he gave up 7 runs. And the other 2 starts he went at least 5 innings, but gave up like 4 or 5 runs. So he is very much being Kyle Gibson this year.
Yeah. Nom nom nom.
Yeah. But to me, it's like there's just been so many situations, and last night was another situation where Keegan Aiken comes in after Kimbrel just imploded on the mound, and Aiken throws 6 pitches, he throws 6 strikes, he gets out of a bases-loaded jam to keep the game tied at 2. Like the bases were loaded with 1 out, and Keegan Aiken comes in, and he gets a strikeout and a pop out, and gets out of that inning with the Orioles not giving up the lead. Right, they allowed them to tie, but they didn't allow them to take the lead. And then he doesn't come back out for the next inning. He threw 6 pitches, man. And
but Paul, a bunch of right-handed batters were due up, and Aiken's a left-handed pitcher. You know how this works with Brandon Hyde.
Yeah, and somebody tried to say it's their best 3 right-handed hitters. It's the Oakland Athletics, man. Like their best 3 right-handed hitters probably wouldn't even be in this Orioles lineup.
One of them's on the IL too, Zach Ella.
Right. And so, like, and not to mention, and they're like, look at it. Somebody came at me and they're like, look at his career splits between right-handed and left-handed batters. And I'm like, yeah, well, look at what he's done this year. This year, they are the same number of at-bats versus lefty and righty. 2 more plate appearances against lefties. But the same number of at-bats, lefty-righty. Right-handed hitters have 1 more hit and 1 more walk. But they hit 238 off of him with a 685 OPS. Now, lefties have like a 430 OPS against him, but 685 OPS is still damn good. And you're trying not to tax your bullpen. You don't want to have to go to Jacob Webb. Isn't Jacob Webb left-handed?
No, he's right.
No. Who am I thinking of? Who the hell am I thinking of?
Coulomb?
No, I know who Danny Coulomb is.
Perez is the only other lefty.
I thought they had 3 lefties in their bullpen right now. It's Aiken.
Johan Ramirez righty.
Coulomb. Jacob Webb is righty.
It was CNL Perez, but he's on the IL.
I could have sworn already that they had.
Vespi's a AAA.
Yeah, and Irvin's in the rotation. I guess I'm wrong, but I guess I was wrong about that. But that notwithstanding, if you're gonna say, are you gonna take Keegan Aiken, who was just awesome at 6 pitches, with 6 pitches, 6 strikes to get 2 outs to get out of that jam? Or are you gonna go to Jacob Webb? I did not forget what Jacob Webb did in September and October last year. I did not forget the home run he gave up last week, or the runs that he gave up against the Twins. Against the Twins. Okay, I didn't forget about this. To me, it's a no-brainer with how Aiken's pitched this year. And look, I've never been the biggest Keegan Aiken supporter. I've always just been waiting for the other shoe to drop. His outing 2 outings ago, the other shoe dropped a little bit for him. He gave up a ton of runs in a very short outing. But that's not what he did last night. Last night he came in and he was dominant. You ride that momentum. I don't need to see Jacob Webb give it up again.
Especially in a tie game in which you don't know if that game is going to end in the 10th or the 15th inning, right? You're going to pull one of your better relievers after 6 pitches.
Exactly.
I don't understand it.
And let's not, be biased here. It's no secret I'm not a Brandon Hyde fan. It's no secret I'm not a Ryan McKenna fan. But let's cast blame where blame is due. Colton Cowser on that 2-out double took a terrible angle to that baseball. He then had to field it off the wall, and that throw was so atrociously bad. He throws it over everybody's head except for Mona Rios, who's 20 feet from the plate. Shane Langoliers is running with a piano on his back.
Yeah.
Okay? If he hits the cutoff man, if he hits Gunnar Henderson with that throw, Henderson could beat him running to home plate.
Yeah.
But he airmails him on a lollipop throw that has no chance of getting to home plate. And then Ramon Arias has to make a quick throw to home where Langley is already in the other batter's box after a slide.
Yeah.
Like, that was such an atrociously bad play, and it gave up the go-ahead run and ultimately the winning run.
Yeah.
You've got to be better there.
Yeah.
And Colton Cowser has had a great season, and he's been a great outfielder. That was a really, really bad play. And honestly, it was far and away worse than the play that McKenna made in the ninth inning, or didn't make in the ninth. It was far and away worse. So let's give blame where blame is due there.
For sure. And it's only fair. It was a terrible play out in left field by Cowser. And we've seen it with these young outfielders, right? Cowser didn't look very comfortable in the outfield last year. He's, I think, made some strides this year, but this was a bad play. Kjerstad, we've seen look very uncomfortable out in right field. I think Kjerstad's a DH long term, but again, that's a different conversation.
Actually, one of the conversation notes.
Oh, is it? Oh, good. Okay, cool. Yeah, look, Cowser's got to make a better play than that. I think if he just gets the ball into the cutoff man, I don't think Langoliers is rounding third and coming to the plate. So I'll give credit to the A's third base coach, who I assume saw the airmailed throw and was like, keep it moving. Yeah, that's just a play that can't happen. A really slow runner scoring from first on a hard hit ball to left field. Well, you've got to be able to get that.
Here's the thing. He was like, they showed him like running from second to third, and he never slowed down once. He was going, he was because the angle that you saw on Masson, he's trucking through third base. He's going home regardless, because then they show him a third of the way down the third baseline. You're like, oh, they're going to nail him. And then they cut to the throw, and it's sailing over everybody's head. And you're like, what just happened? It was such a bad play that you were shocked and surprised to see it at all. It was so bad. But look, ultimately, they're going to lose baseball games. Okay, like the vibe of this show, and I told you the vibes aren't going to be bad for the show. They've been bad. The vibes have been bad for this show to start. The Orioles have lost. They're 1-3 on Fridays. We do a Saturday show, and the last three losses have all been in a row on Fridays, and they've been bad. They've been 11-1, 11-3, and now 3-2 against a really, really bad team where you basically beat yourself. Yeah. So like the vibes, like we love this team. Ryan and I love this team. That's why we do this show, and we are super excited about this team. This is a good baseball team. They are 16-9. They're ahead of last year's pace, and they won 101 games last year. Their offense is bananas good. They lead the American League in runs scored. They lead the majors in home runs. Hit another one last night. They are really, really good. It's not that they lose. It's how they lose. Like the way they lost that game last night, it just shouldn't happen. Yeah. It just shouldn't happen. But they'll fix it. They'll come back out today, and they'll probably win these next two games. And even if they don't let my tweets discourage you. I'm a knee-jerk tweeter. I will admit it. I am a knee-jerk reaction tweeter when it comes to this team. And I was pretty quiet the entire game last night until I saw what happened in the ninth inning. Don't let that discourage you. The Orioles could get swept by the Athletics, and it does not matter because they are really freaking good. And they're going to make the playoffs this year. And also, is it raining?
Is it?
No. I'm right below the laundry room.
There you go.
That's what's going on. I keep hearing this, and I'm like, and I look out, and it's not raining. It's definitely, I'm right below the laundry room. Yeah. They could get swept, and it doesn't matter because they're really good. They're going to make the playoffs this year. And then also, every other team in the American League East lost last night, including the Yankees got walked off by Joey Ortiz.
The Yankees, who, by the way, just split a 4-game set with these same Athletics. So,
and the Oakland Athletics, they're a bad baseball team. They're not that. They've got decent pitching. Like, their pitching is pretty damn good. And Mason Miller, by the way, the Athletics are not trading Mason Miller to the Orioles. It's not happening. He has 5 years of team control left. They're young, and they're getting better, and they're about to move. But by the time they get to Vegas, he'll still be under team control. He's not getting traded to the Orioles. And people can want him all they want. you're going to have to blow them away and give up a bunch of prospects who are everyday players for a reliever. You're not. The Orioles aren't doing that. He's not coming here, unless you think otherwise, Ryan. Because you didn't look. You looked like sad when I said that.
No, I think you're right. It's one of those things that it's easy as a team in the Orioles position is right now to see a guy like Mason Miller and say, I want him. How can we get him?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's a great thought, right? And I don't think it's 100% out of the realm of possibility, but probably 99%, right? You would have to give up probably a Norby, a Kerstad, and a Povich at minimum, right? Look,
Povich is on his way here. He's going to be here soon.
Relief pitching comes at a premium these days, and Mason Miller is arguably the best in the game right now. That's not going to come cheap. So if the Orioles were to get on the phone with these guys, look, I will say this. John Fisher, owner of the Athletics, the Sacramento Athletics, the Las Vegas Athletics, whatever you want to call them, he said in his press conference at their new minor league 10,000 seat capacity stadium that he's excited to watch stars from around the league hit home runs against the Athletics at that stadium. If you have Mason Miller on your team, you're going to get fewer home runs by the stars around the league. Just saying. So if you really believe that, send him our way.
God, and we thought we had it bad with John Angelos.
I know, man. Poor A's fans. I'm really good friends with a couple A's fans, actually. One of them is in my fantasy league. And he almost quit this year because he's just so down on Major League Baseball and the Athletics. He has Zach Geloff on his team, and he was like, someone please trade for Zach Geloff. I don't want any Athletics on my team. This is a diehard A's fan who has just had his soul completely ripped apart.
Dude, it makes, when I think about it, right, it breaks my heart.
Yeah.
What those fans are going through. If the Orioles ever left Baltimore, I would be a completely different person for the worse.
Yeah.
And maybe that's sad to say. I don't think people realize the Baltimore Orioles are my very first love. They are my absolute passion. It's obviously it's my wife and my daughter, my dog, but right underneath that, it's the Baltimore Orioles.
Yeah.
I love this team with every fiber of my being. And and that's why I get so freaking mad when crap like last night happens. But good vibes. If the Orioles left Baltimore, I would be a totally different person, and it wouldn't be for the better. I would be it would be like a piece of me was missing.
Oh,
and there are fans like that out in I mean, there's fans like me, fans in every city there, and Ryan, I have to say, I love this team, right? You were clearly, I'm not going to say you're a better or bigger fan than I am. You're a different kind of fan than I am, right? You have an equal passion, equal love for this team, but you clearly grew the mustache to coincide with the team. You've got the Homer medallion in the background. You got a Homer bong.
I've got the hydration station upstairs.
That's what it is. You got the Homer hose dong bong hydration station. Somebody hit a home run the other day, and you posted a video of you taking a bong out of the hydration station. You're a different kind of fan than I am. You know what I mean? But we're both fans nonetheless who have a love and a passion for this team. What Oakland fans are going through, it just did it again. It's because I haven't touched it in a while. My computer goes to sleep when I haven't touched it, and I put in the wrong password. But anyway, Oakland fans watching their team leave, it's just a travesty, and they're one of the proudest franchises in the history of the game, and they're leaving Oakland. And when there's an expansion team, they're not getting another one. They're not going to get an expansion team in Oakland. That's probably going to Nashville and Montreal. Think about that for a second. Think about the fact that that Oakland will never have a baseball team again after this season.
Yeah, it's over, and it's unfathomably sad and upsetting.
It is absolutely sad. Yeah. What's absolutely sad is we completely buried the lead today.
We've
completely buried the lead today. if you were betting on us talking about Jackson Holliday in the first 40 minutes of the show, it probably would have been a great bet, but you would have lost. And if you're betting on stuff like that, you may have a gambling problem. If you or a loved one has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit helpmygamblingproblem.org for free confidential services. Jackson Holliday, he is demoted yesterday, 2 for 34, 18 strikeouts before his demotion. O's are facing 3 left-handed pitchers the next 6 games. They've got a lot of lefties coming up in the next few weeks. He was going to be sitting a lot. I thought that he was starting to show more confidence at the plate. He had a base hit 104 miles off the bat in his last game. Walked in that game also, hit a hard line drive off the pitcher in that game. Jackson Holliday looked like he was maybe starting to turn it around. But it was very lachrymose, the tone that Mike Elias took with Jackson when talking to the media after saying Jackson Holliday down. He's like, I mishandled this. I did him a disservice. Like, this one's on me. It's like, dude, he got off to a slow start.
Yeah.
He didn't like you didn't cause him to get hit by a car, man. Like,
right. I appreciate the accountability, but like, no one saw a 2 for 37 start coming for this kid.
Right. And it was 2 for 34. I misprinted.
Oh, my bad. Yeah.
Well, because I didn't know what the amount of at-bats were, and I wanted to do without looking it up. Somebody said that he was hitting 054, and so I did. I went 2 for 37, and that was 054, and I was like, oh, okay, 054, there it is. But he was actually 2 for 34 with 18 strikeouts before the demotion.
Yeah,
and like Willie Mays started his career 1 for 2 for 36 or something like that, or 1 for 25. Ken Griffey Jr. started his career 1 for 31. Cal was 4 for 56 or something along those lines.
Cal was batting 117 at the end of April, at the beginning of May, and then went on to win Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, like nobody's looking at this and saying, "Oh boy, this situation was mishandled." Like, nobody cares about that. Like, if you set him down, like, it makes sense. He wasn't performing well. He's 20 years old, and they're not sending him down to say you don't belong here. They're sending him down for the same reason they sent Grayson Rodriguez down, to say you belong here, make these adjustments, and remember that you don't belong down there. That's what's happening here.
By the way, am I wrong in thinking that the reception from fans around the league has been, I don't even know how to describe it. It feels like fans are enjoying piling on Jackson Holliday more than I've seen with any other prospect who has struggled.
It might be okay. I haven't noticed that. But isn't Jackson Chourio 20 years old?
Yeah.
And isn't Jackson Merrill 20 years old?
Yes, but Merrill's having a solid season so far.
Right. And Chourio got off to a solid start.
Yeah.
Right. Like Mike Elias said, as far as I know, there's nobody else in Jackson's class that's his age that's above high A. There's 2 rookies who have the same first name
as
him, who are, playing better than he did at the major league level. So, and maybe those guys turn 21 in like a month or something like that, and Jackson's like significantly younger than they are. But they're all 3 of them are 20 and weirdly have the same first name. But maybe it's because Jackson Holliday has been the number 1 prospect in baseball. And maybe it's like we've played the Brewers, and like maybe they're like, our guy is clearly better than your guy, and they're piling on because the Orioles are kind of being rammed down people's throats right now. Yeah, a lot of people are picking them to be as World Series contenders. A lot of places pick them to win the World Series. They're talking about how great this team is and all the runs scored, and like they're the next big thing in baseball. And then Jackson Holliday, and then he gets off to that start, and it's just like fans like to do that. Right, yeah. They like to just pile on. I haven't even seen anybody piling on how bad Jackson Holliday has been. I haven't seen it. Maybe one tweet. So
it was noticeable to me yesterday when Jeff Passan tweeted something about how, following the option, and Mike Elias's comments about how, Holliday is going to be, really, really good, and all the comments were, dude's a bust, making jokes about him. It was.
Oh, see, I read those and I completely ignore them, and because it's so far and away from being true. Like
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
like
for sure. It just feels like fans around the league, to me, have been exceptionally thrilled that Holliday has struggled.
yeah.
And I think he's going to come back with a chip on his shoulder and absolutely dominate. I
Oh,
think this is ultimately going to be good for him.
I think he's going to go down and just hit the ground running at AAA and kick ass and try and get back up here as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
And you also have to think about the fact that the Orioles have hit on like every top draft pick since Elias got here. I mean, Adley Rutschman's the best catcher in baseball. Gunnar Henderson just won Rookie of the Year, and he's gonna be an MVP finalist this year, in my opinion. Jordan Westbrook, who nobody knows about, is one of the best hitters in the game. Colton Cowser's tearing the cover off the ball. Heston Kjerstad was leading the minor leagues in home runs when he got called up, and RBIs. Like their prospect, and Kyle Stowers has like 8 home runs. Like and Connor Norby,
and he's an afterthought.
Yeah, Connor Norby and Kobe May are tearing the cover off the baseball. Like they have hit on so many draft picks. People are probably just like, "How the hell are you doing this? Please let one of them be bad."
It's remarkable too that, like, look at Jordan Westberg, for example. On just about any other team, Jordan Westberg would be the guy. Like, he would be the next man up, top prospect. And here, he's just another dude.
Mm-hmm.
He's like 4th or 5th in the pecking order here among, guys who have come up and figured it out.
He hits 7th or 8th every game.
Yeah.
And then you look at the prospects that they've traded away. Darell Hernandez is playing almost every day in Oakland. And Joey Ortiz is playing every day in Milwaukee and just got a walk-off hit against the Yankees while playing elite defense at 3 different positions. Like it's ridiculous how many prospects the Orioles have hit on that, and some of them aren't even here, and they hit on them.
And the remarkable thing when you look at these individual guys, even if Jackson Holliday is a massive bust, let's say he comes back up and his career batting average never gets above 150.
Right.
Even if that ends up being the case, the Orioles are going to be fine. Whereas on most other teams, the number 1 prospect in baseball comes up and ends up being a bust. That screws them over for years. That is going to be far from the case.
Like 7-3 with Holliday on the roster, despite the fact that he was 2 for 34.
I think they were 7-2 in games that he started.
Yeah, like he's batting 9th. He's striking out more than half of his at bats, and the Orioles are still playing 800 baseball.
Yeah,
or 700 baseball while he's here. Like it's pretty remarkable how good this team is and how many players they've hit on.
Yeah.
As far as their draft picks, and that takes us to, let's talk a little bit here about Heston Kjerstad. Where are the notes? I have so many windows open, so many windows open. Heston Kjerstad, he's gotten 1 start. He went 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts in that start. He got the pinch hit appearance last night, and he grounded out to second base. Did get the runner over the third. But that was with 2 outs. If he had let off the inning, now you have the runner on third base with 1 out, but now there's 2 outs. Defense was not good in right field in that game that he got the start in when he got called up. It was not good. It was like the same inning. He made 2 pretty bad plays.
Yeah.
Serious work in progress at first base. You mentioned a little bit earlier. Is Heston Kjerstad already making himself DH only? And if so, how long is he really going to play while Ryan O'Hearn is here? Somebody said last week that the Orioles should trade Heston Kjerstad because Ryan O'Hearn's here and he's so good. And I'm like, Ryan O'Hearn's going to be 31 in like 2 months. Like, you're not going to trade Kjerstad because Ryan O'Hearn's hitting at 31 years old. Like, What are your thoughts on Kjerstad, his playing time that he's going to get while he's up here? Should he be up here instead of getting regular bats at AAA if he's not going to play against righties because O'Hearn's in there and he's not going to play against lefties?
Yeah, it's a tough position because he's way too good for AAA, and he's good enough to be in any major league lineup. Mm-hmm. The Orioles might not have an opportunity to give him regular playing time, especially when Austin Hayes comes back from the injured list. In terms of his his defense. Yes, it was two pretty rough plays in one inning. Both of them turned singles into doubles, and I think led to an extra run or two in that inning. And yeah, first base is relatively new to him, and I don't think we're going to see him get game action there. Although Ramon Arias got to start at first base just last week for the Orioles, so who knows? But look, we thought the same thing with Ryan Mountcastle, who was drafted as a shortstop, moved to third base, left field, and now looks like he should be a Gold Glove finalist at first base. So the strides that he has taken defensively
has been a Gold Glove finalist at first base.
Yeah, and looks like he should be again. And in fact, should have won the year he was a finalist and didn't. But yeah, look, he looks exceptional over at first base. Both his ability to play the position and scoop up difficult throws over there. He's exceptional. And look, maybe Kjerstad is going to take a couple years to find a true home defensively, and maybe he's going to end up being really good in a certain spot. So no, you don't trade Kjerstad because he looks like a DH right now. I will say to Ryan O'Hearn's benefit, you need veteran guys on your team who are going to be able to contribute. And 31 isn't old just yet.
It's not, but you're not going to trade him you're not going to trade Heston Kjerstad in favor of him.
Right. I agree. But yeah, it's a tough spot for Kjerstad to be in because he absolutely should be getting regular playing time at the big league level. And I'm just not sure the Orioles have that spot for him. So I don't think you seek out a trade for Kjerstad. However, I think if you have a really good starting pitcher or relief pitcher on the table that a team wants to give you and they want Kjerstad, I think you're certainly not hanging up the phone when they bring up his name. So I'm curious to see what happens, but for now I think especially with Hayes on the IL, keep him up there, give him opportunities as often as you can. But yeah, it's tough to see a right-handed pitcher and Kjerstad's not getting the start because that's when you think they'd get him in the lineup. But Ryan O'Hearn's playing too well. Cedric Mullins is tearing the cover off the ball right now. Tony Taters is Tony Taters. I think he should be hitting sixth, but he's Tony Taters. So there's a lot of factors here, but it all comes back to the same problem, which is the Orioles have too many guys.
They have, and it's a good problem to have. And yeah, we want to see these guys all play, but it's not realistic to think that you're going to have all these super talented players that you're going to be able to fit 32 guys on a 26-man roster and get them all equal playing time. Like it's just not going to happen. And there are guys that at this point have earned the right to play every single day. Gunnar Henderson, obviously Adley Rutschman, but Jordan Westbrook, Colton Cowser. These guys have earned, Ryan O'Hearn. They've earned the right to play every single day. You're not going to bench them because Heston Kjerstad hit 10 home runs in AAA. That's just not going to happen.
Right.
But he'll get his opportunity, or maybe he'll get his opportunity someplace else. I don't know, but right now, like, the defense has to pick it up because otherwise he's not going to play. He's not going to DH over O'Hearn against a right-handed guy. He just isn't.
Right.
Hey, Ryan. What company makes your home more energy efficient, purifies your air, kills all viruses, and qualifies you for $6,000 in rebates?
I think I've got it this week. It is the company started by legendary sportscaster Al Michaels.
You are, God, closer than ever. AJ Michaels Heating and Air in Baltimore and Annapolis. Check them out for all the details at ajmichaels.com.
I'm so close that time.
God, man, we have so much to go over.
I know.
I think we're gonna skip soft toss. You can talk about Joey Ortiz when we go over the when we preview the Yankees series here in just like hopefully a minute and a half. AL East wrap up. Shohei Ohtani homered in his first at bat against a team that almost signed him, but not really. As Jays starter Chris Bassett got lit up for 7 runs in the first innings, and the Jays couldn't get anything going against Dodgers starter Gavin Stone as they fell 12-2 for their 4th straight loss. The Red Sox got another home run from Tyler O'Neill, but that was the extent of their offensive output as Shota Imanaga continued his excellent start to his MLB career while Cutter Crawford gave up 10 hits as the Cubs beat the Red Sox 7-1. Leaving 12 men on base and giving up 9 runs to the worst offense in baseball is not a recipe for success, as the Rays learned last night. handing the White Sox just their 4th win of the season and falling to 13-14 themselves. Remember last year when they started 13-0? And finally, a back-and-forth game featuring 5 home runs, including the first of Joey Ortiz's career, ended with a walk-off RBI single by the aforementioned Ortiz as the Yankees completed the quintet of AL East losses last night, falling 7-6 and keeping themselves in second place to the Orioles by a matter of percentage points. Joey Ortiz, game of his life last night.
Good vibes only, Paul. Joey Ortiz walks off the Yankees after hitting his first career homer. He tied the game with a 2-run shot in the second inning, tied the game again with a sac fly in the 6th, and gave the Brewers the lead or the victory over the Yankees with a walk-off in the 11th inning. That was going to be the extent of my soft toss segment this week. Just a shout out to Joey Ortiz for helping out the O's. Good to see from him getting regular playing time over there with the Brewers. Hope he has a long and illustrious.
I think he's going to be a really good player. I don't know that he'll ever be an all-star, but I think that he's going to be a guy who's going to play Gold Glove defense and hit like 260 in the big leagues, and that's a player that can be on any team, in my opinion. And he's got pop, you know, as he proved last night.
If he can add 15, 20 homers,
he's a good player, and people are starting to realize that, I think. Did you miss anything from Glenn Clark Radio this week, including conversations with Cade Povich, Dallas Braden, Dylan Beavers, former Terps point guard Jameer Young, and Nate Wiggins high school coach Bobby May? Find it all in the Glenn Clark Radio Week in Review feature today at PressBoxOnline.com. All right, Ryan, today's game, Orioles are taking on the Athletics in Camden Yards at 4:05. Cole Irvin gets a nod with first pitch, again slated for 4:05. Irvin tossed 6 2/3, should have been 7 scoreless innings against the Royals in his last start. He was at 93 pitches with the 9th spot in the order coming up. We already talked about this. The A's are going to counter with left-handed pitcher J.P. Sears. Sears allowed 9 runs on 12 hits in his first 2 starts, covering 9 in the 3rd innings. But in his last 3 starts, Ryan, he's tossed 17 in the 3rd innings, allowing just 6 hits and 1 run with 14 Ks. He shut down the Rangers, Cardinals, and Yankees offenses. They all have formidable hitters, so they're all kind of underachieving at this point of the season. But J.P. Sears definitely has put together 3 really, really good starts. So, of course, the Orioles get him in this matinee today. Orioles are going to be going up. They're going to probably run out a lineup that was similar to what they showed against Cole Reagans last Saturday, where they scored 7 runs in the second inning against him, and then had to cling and hold on for dear life to win that game 9-7 after leading 7-0 and 8-3. The lineup for today, we can probably imagine is going to be something like Henderson leading off at shortstop, Adley Rutschman batting second, DHing. This is where I could be wrong. The middle of the order, I have Mountcastle batting 3rd, playing first base, Westberg batting 4th, playing second base, and Santander batting 5th, playing right field. It could be.
You could be wrong, but I like it.
I think will be hitting in the heart of the order, but it might not be in that order. It might be Santander, Mountcastle, Westberg, or Westberg, Mountcastle, Santander. You know what I mean? But I think those 3 guys will be your 3, 4, 5 hitters today. Then it's James McCann catching, batting 6th. Ramona Reyes playing 3rd base, batting 7th. Colton Cowser playing left field, batting 8th. And Jorge Mateo playing center field, batting 9th. That's what I think the lineup is going to look similar to or close to. Your thoughts on what the potential lineup could be today?
Yeah, I think you pretty much nailed it. I said last week on the show that the Orioles should not line up the same guys that they put up against Cole Reagans the previous time, which had just been 2 weeks prior. And then they do, and they come out and score 7 runs in the second inning and knock Reagans out after an inning and 2/3. So, look, I don't know anything, right? Baseball is a weird game, but J.P. Sears is exactly the kind of pitcher that the Orioles struggle against. And so I'm nervous for today's game. But with that said, I think this is, probably the lineup we see, and hopefully they can come through like they did last Saturday.
Absolutely. I think that, and I think they're going to come out there running hot, because last night was not a good game. One of their worst games of the year, and I think that they want to come back out and kind of like get back on track a little bit. Not that they got off track; it was just a bad game, and I think that they'll come out, hopefully playing a little bit better.
By the way, was it the day after Felix Bautista got hurt last year that they had his bobblehead giveaway?
I think Yeah, I think it
Was it?
was.
I think it was the very next day. Now today, after a not so exciting loss, Brandon Hyde, AL Manager of the Year bobblehead giveaway this afternoon.
Yeah, that's why I didn't
Interesting
get
time.
tickets for the game. I don't want that thing. No. Saturdays are my long. It's like Kevin Gossman. He got traded, and then they still did his Game of Thrones giveaway like a week later because they already
Right?
had like
Yeah.
30,000 of them or something like that, 20,000. So what's on tap after today's game? The Orioles conclude their series with Oakland tomorrow afternoon with a 1:35 start and a matchup between either we know for a fact it's Albert Suarez going tomorrow against Paul Blackburn. John Means was mentioned by Brandon Hyde potentially making that start tomorrow, but Means is gonna make his final rehab start in Norfolk instead, which means that Suarez will get the game one of the Yankees series. Blackburn 2-1 with a 2.03 ERA and .97 WHIP. He had 3 consecutive scoreless outings to start his season, albeit against weak-hitting teams in the Guardians, Tigers, and Nationals. Totaling 19 and a third innings pitched while allowing just 11 hits. But in his last 2 starts against the Cardinals and the Yankees, he's allowed 7 runs on 11 hits, and he walked 5 against St. Louis on April 17th. He has allowed just 1 home run in his 5 starts, though that wasn't his last start. I believe he gave it up to Juan Soto. But yeah, so it's going to be Albert Suarez taking on Paul Blackburn tomorrow. Then the Orioles welcome the New York Yankees to Camden Yards for 4 games in the biggest series of the season to date. The Yankees will likely throw Clark Schmidt, Nestor Cortes, Luis Gil, and Carlos Rodon in the series. And then afterwards, the Orioles head to Cincinnati, where Ryan will be on Friday and Sunday for his bachelor weekend with the Kentucky Derby thrown in between. POS. Yankees series, man.
I'm excited,
So
man.
the Orioles, like Carlos Rodon's earning his money this year, and Nestor Cortes looks to be back to the pitcher he was in 2022. Luis Gil's been okay. Clark Schmidt's been okay. The Yankees starting rotation in general and their pitching overall has been absolutely phenomenal, which it's had to be because the offense, aside from Juan Soto, has been not great to start. Your thoughts on this Yankees series coming up? I mean, you look at the best hitter in their lineup right now is clearly Juan Soto, 324, 7 home runs, 23 RBIs, and then you have Anthony Volpe, 284 with 2 home runs, 10 RBIs. Judge is hitting 178 with 4 home runs to this point. Anthony Rizzo, who I said was terrible, is hitting 231 with a 635 OPS. Like,
yeah, you were right on Rizzo. I was a little higher on him coming into the year. I thought he looked more like himself in spring and was hopefully past all the concussion symptoms that hindered him last year. But yeah, he looks like a, what is he, 34? Yep. He looks like a 34-year-old first baseman. Look, the Yankees, their pitching staff has overachieved, I think, this year. I don't think Nestor Cortes. I think Cortes is more like his 2023 self than 2022. Rodon has gotten off to a great start, but again, I don't know. I think there's a lot of question marks in that rotation. I think a lot of guys who have overachieved a little bit. I still don't really fear their starting 5 without Garrett Cole.
I don't fear them either. But
and maybe that's naive of me, because they are the New York Yankees, and the New York Yankees tend to find a way to succeed, even when things aren't necessarily going their way. Look, we thought this was going to be the Orioles' first real test of the season, and maybe it is, but their soft April schedule has been anything but. They have faced some very good teams and perhaps overachieving teams, but first place Brewers, the Kansas City Royals have been really good. The Orioles have faced some teams that presented more of a challenge than we expected. They have still come out of that. What are we, 16-10 or 16-9?
Second best.
They've still come out.
League.
Yeah, and ahead of the Yankees by a matter of percentage points. Look, it's a big series. There's no doubt about that. I think the Orioles have a lot to show. I think you being with the series being at Camden Yards, I think you have to get a split at minimum. And obviously it'd be great to win, 3 or 4 of those games. But yeah, it's the first, big series against the Yankees of the season. They played them really well last year, and hopefully that trend continues.
What the Orioles are doing offensively, I mean, they lead the majors. They lead the majors in the American League in home runs. They lead in RBIs. They lead in runs scored. Although the Guardians, who I thought were was a weak hitting team, they're second in runs, 136, only 2 behind the Orioles. But the Orioles,
they've been very, very good.
They're second in team batting average. They're the bottom half of the league in strikeouts, and their OPS plus is 15 points higher than the next best team. 127 OPS plus as a team. That is ridiculous compared to the Astros and the Guardians at 112. When was the last time that the Orioles had an OPS as a team above 750? They're at 767. The next best team is 722. Like, this offense is ridiculous, and there's still some guys that haven't gotten going. They've been, and then we've also kind of buried the lead here. John Means and Kyle Bradish are coming back. And Kyle Bradish, he's coming back quicker than anybody expected.
And he's looked good.
Yeah, he's looked really good. Last night, 5 innings pitched, 5 hits, 1 run, 7 strikeouts. He threw 77 pitches last night. Yeah. He's like maybe a rehab start or 2 away from being back in this rotation. And John Means, his last rehab start is tomorrow. Now, look, the velocity's been way down, but he's looked like he's been improving since that start where he blew up a couple starts ago. If he goes out there tomorrow and shoves, this is really, really good for the Orioles. It'll line up the bullpen a lot better, too. And then when you have that rotation, it looks like what we thought it was going to be when we got Corbin Burns. Now you're looking at a team, and you're looking at a team that's like, oh, my gosh, what if John Means goes to the bullpen?
Yeah.
Right? Because Albert Suarez has done nothing to lose a rotation spot. Dean Kramer's been really good, except for 1 start. And Corbin Burns and Grayson Rodriguez, they're not going anywhere. And Kyle Bradish is Kyle freaking Bradish. This rotation is going to be, if everybody stays healthy, combined with this offense, they might win 112 games this year. Who's going to beat them?
Right. Yeah. Their bullpen, their own bullpen might beat them. But yeah,
they're not going to roll with that bullpen the way it is.
No, they're not.
If it continues this way.
They're not. There's going to be, an acquisition or 2. Yeah, look, having these guys back is going to be massive. We were talking about at the beginning of the year how the trickle effect of Bradish and Means starting the season on the IL was that it wasn't that the rotation was going to be weaker, which, I mean, obviously, right? But it was that the bullpen is going to be significantly weaker because guys that we expected, Tyler Wells and Cole Irvin, who we expected to be in the bullpen to start the year, were going to be forced into the rotation, and that was going to take away 2 of your better, 2-3 inning relief options out of the picture, right? Having Bradish and Means back is going to move a couple guys to the pen. Maybe John Means is one of them. Maybe he starts off as a long man. They want to build him up a little bit, which I would understand. Maybe the velo will tick up a little bit if he knows he's only throwing 30 pitches. It's been down. I think he's averaging 90.8 on his fastball, which isn't too far off from his career average, but it's lower than, we're accustomed to seeing. But for Means, it's always been about control of the changeup. If he's got command of that pitch, he's going to, the results are going to be there for him. So look, there's a lot to be excited about, right? We come into this show after a Friday loss and it feels like the sky is falling at times. This is still, like you said, Paul, a really, really good baseball team. It's a team that we both love dearly. And, it's exciting, man. That's really all I can say. It's exciting to have the team that we have for the first time in so long. And I don't think it seems like a touchy subject, Paul, especially on social media these days, to act like there's room for improvement on a team that just won 101 games. But winning 101 games and the division does not mean it's all sunshine and rainbows. I think it's fair to acknowledge ways that the team can improve and ways that things have gone wrong, while also agreeing this is the most exciting time to be an Orioles fan that either of us have lived through.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And Jim Palmer said it earlier this year. Yeah, the team won 101 games in division last year. They reset the standings at the beginning of every season.
Yeah.
And the Orioles are in first place and they're 16-9, which is about what we expected them to be through the opening month of the season. They're playing up to the level we expect them to play at. But the fact remains that there are games that the Orioles have lost that they shouldn't have lost. They have 3 blown saves. They won the one game, though, but they have 2 blown saves where they were leading in the 9th inning and ended up losing those games. And they have a couple of other games where, the ball bounces this way or that way. They could have won those games. And so, 16-9 is great. This team could be 20-5, or 19-6. They could be that much better. And we see the weaknesses, and you get nervous because the weaknesses are in places where you can't be weak. You can have the greatest rotation in the world, and they go 7 innings every night. But if your bullpen can't lock it down in the 8th and 9th innings, it doesn't really matter.
Right. We saw last night. Corbin Burns goes another quality start, 6 innings, 1-run ball, and you lose to the Athletics. Sometimes that's just the way baseball goes.
Absolutely. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see what happens as things progress and move forward. But this Orioles team, like we said at the beginning of the show, they're really good. They are a really good team, and I can't wait to see them hit their stride, because that's the other thing, man. Have you felt like they've hit their stride yet?
No.
Not at all. This team is so good, and they haven't even hit their stride yet.
There have been times where it feels like they're hitting their stride, and then they have a game like last night where it seems to suck all the life out of everything. And like I was telling you before we started the show, this is the 3rd week in a row in which the Orioles have had at least a 3-game winning streak before the show, and as a result, the show feels like it's kind of doom and gloom. This is a really good team that continues to, they still haven't been swept. They're continuing to win series. They're 16-9 in first place, and they're about to get 2 of their better pitchers back into the mix.
Yep.
And that's a really good position to be in if you're a fan of the Baltimore Orioles.
Absolutely. I want to remind everybody that a new edition of Press Box is available now. On the cover, Luke Jackson profiles Orioles pitcher Grayson Rodriguez talking to many. Sorry, I got sidetracked. Talking to many people that have part of his path that have been part of his path to potentially becoming a homegrown ace. Plus, reflections on the life and legacy of legendary Maryland basketball coach Lefty Driesell, and more. The new print issue is available now at your neighborhood Royal Farms and any of the hundreds of locations around town where you find Pressbox. Plus, you can read the entire print edition at PressBoxOnline.com. All right, everybody's favorite, take to rake. Ryan, you took Jordan Westburg last week. I took Gunnar Henderson. Jordan Westburg, last Saturday and Sunday were part of his previous week. He won Player of the Week. It was the first time the Orioles have had back-to-back players win back-to-back Player of the Week award since 1981.
Jordan, and it was 2 BFFs.
Yeah, 2 BFFs. Colton Cowser followed by Jordan Westburg.
You love to see it.
You absolutely love to see it. Westburg rocks the awesome stash, just like Ryan. And then you got the awesome beard. That is just such a quality beard that Colton Cowser has. He has a quality beard.
I kind of want, look, a lot of these guys, Gunnar has a mustache. I kind of want Colton. Remember that Fu Manchu he had in the playoffs last year at AAA?
I never saw it.
Oh, I gotta find the picture. I'll text it to you. But yeah, he had a nice, thick, handlebar mustache. I kind of think there's part of me that wants him to bring that back, but the beard is glorious.
Kyle Bradish has an awesome mustache. It's like a man's mustache.
Yeah.
So Westburg, it's crazy what one game can do, because Westburg was hitting for the week 300 going into last night. He was 6 for 20. He went 0 for 4, so now his numbers look a lot worse. 6 for 24, a triple, a home run, 4 RBIs, 2 walks, 2 stolen bases, 3 runs scored. /250, 308, 458, 766 this past week. I took Gunnar Henderson. Gunnar Henderson also took an 0 for 4 last night. Actually, I think he took an 0 for 5. Yeah, he took an 0 for 5. But the Orioles could have 3 straight Player of the Week winners, because Henderson this week went 9 for 25, 2 doubles, a triple, 2 home runs, 5 RBIs, a walk, 2 hit by pitch, a stolen base, /360 after going 0 for 5 last night, /360, 414, 760, and then 1174 OPS. I won. If Westburg had gone 4 for 4 last night, you would have won. He didn't.
Yeah.
They both took an over.
And I was riding high after last weekend. I think Westberg's homer and triple came in the same game. It was either Saturday or Sunday last week. Yeah, and I think either 4 or 5 of those 6 hits this week came last weekend. So started off the week, I felt like, I had a leg up on you, and then Gunnar goes out and, starts hitting bombs again, reaches base 5 times in a game. Yeah, congratulations. Paul's 1-0. I'll take the L, even though I took the guy that you wanted.
That's true.
It worked out well for you.
Let's put the standings in here and try to remember to update them every week, because the last 2 years, Zach and I really struggled to keep up with it, and it took like a lot. Like, Zach blew me out of the water last year. I won each of the first 3 years, but then Zach blew me out of the water last year. But the previous year, I had to go through every episode and figure out who won, because we kept such poor track of it.
Yeah.
So we'll try and keep it, especially since the notes stay on this page the entire time. It's the same page. Hopefully we can keep it. So my pick for this week, the Orioles got some lefties coming up. I'm going to take Ryan O'Hearn. Facing some lefties this week. I think that he's gonna have a big week. So,
did you take the right Ryan?
I was just thinking if I should take Ryan Mountcastle instead, but I'm going to take Ryan
O'Hearn. Because O'Hearn's not going to face those lefties. Look, I'll give you a chance to switch it up if you want.
I'll take Ryan O'Hearn anyway. That was such stupidity on my part. That I'm just going to ride with it. I'm going to take Ryan O'Hearn.
I love it, man. The Orioles are facing some lefties this week. Give me the guy who doesn't face lefties.
Well, they got 2 righties in a row.
We're gonna have
They
do. Hey, he's gonna play some games. He might go 6 for 12 with 2 home runs this week, and that could be enough to win it for you. However, I'm gonna take Ryan Mountcastle. We're gonna have a battle of the Ryans this week. We have 3 now on the team, but one of them is not worthy of ever being selected in this segment. Give me Ryan Mountcastle against a few lefties. I think he has a good week now that he's back. That knee seems healthy, and I won't be here next week to see the results, but I'm curious to see which Ryan.
What I will say is, you just said one of those Ryans isn't worthy of ever being taken on this show, but this is coming from the same guy who 2 years ago took Rougned Odor and take the rake.
Yeah, but you're right. I did take Odor.
I get it. He had a few big hits that year, but you did take Rougned Odor.
He better vibes, I would say, overall.
Yeah, better vibes than McKenna. I'll give you that. I will give you that. When he hit a home run, I never thought to myself, "Oh, great, he's here another month." So
yeah. I kind of now that it's over. I'm sorry to drag this out. Now that it's over, I look back more fondly on the Rougned Odor era, just because of some of the big hit. Look, he wasn't good, and he annoyed me far more often than not. But looking back on that era, I kind of appreciate what Rougned Odor brought to the Orioles, which was a guy who was fun to be around, helped build up the
brought in the
homer chain, and and came through with some really big hits for this team. So
he also,
look, now that we're 2 years removed from it,
I will say he also came through with a couple of big hits after he made an error the half inning before that coughed up the lead. And then he hit they were playing the Blue Jays, and he hit a walk-off home run. But the inning before that, the half inning before that, he had an error that tied the game. And he did it against another team at home too, where he had a bad error at second base, and then he hit a home run in the bottom half of the inning to tie the game. It gave up the lead. So
I don't remember which team, but I remember that game. And then how can we forget the walk-off homer against the Tampa Bay Rays in that 11 or 12 inning game? Nick Vespi's major league debut. He pitched 2 innings. I think struck out 4, got the win.
In the rain.
Walked off the Rays in what was a really, really big series.
And look,
for this Orioles team.
his
So
addition to
yeah,
the
man.
roster coincided with the Orioles. Like the Orioles, he was on the team that broke the really bad losing. Like they were over 500 that year with him on the team, and they had lost 108 games or more 3 of the previous 4 seasons. The 3 previous full seasons they lost over 100 games each of those. So I'll never be a Ruth Odor fan, but I can admit that like he was part of the good vibes that helped this team get back on track. So, and if you're looking to get back on track for lunch, Atman's Deli is that classic New York deli experience. Look no further than the Atman's Deli in Baltimore's Harbor Point. You can get corned beef piled high, hand-rolled bagels, and something different, a bar. Atman's Harbor Point. Go to atmansdeli.com for daily specials. Wrapping things up here on the Bat Around today. Going long as always because that's what we do on the Bat Around. Some fan interaction or view. Fan. We're not cool enough to have fans. Some
Yeah, we
viewer
are. What are you talking about?
interaction to close things out here. R.L. Hopper. The Hyde and McKenna love affair needs to end. I can't watch that guy play ball. It's horrible. Like, again, the human being in me feels bad at how, like, because I don't know that, like, Ryan O'Hearn blocked me on here. You know what I mean? On Twitter. So I know that somehow these players see the shit that I say, right? Like I have enough followers and enough people that, like, respond to me that somebody sees something every now and again, right? So, like, I don't want to alienate myself to any players. I'm never going to meet them, or they don't give a crap about me. And outside of baseball, I care about them deeply outside of baseball. Like, so the human being in me feels bad. Was that your cat or mine? Oh,
That was mine. Pickles got a bug up his butt about
human
something.
being in me feels bad about the hate that I sling towards Ryan McKenna. But the baseball and Orioles fan of me is like, dude, you have no business here, and let's stop acting like you do. And I get it. He should be confident. You don't get to the major leagues by not being confident. But I think I've really soured on him when he referred himself to a Ferrari that needs to be taken out of the garage. Like, that's not you, dude. Like, that's not even you at AAA. It's not you. And the fact that you said that, and then the fact that he said during spring training that he was just working on some things, he wasn't really concerned with results, like, that's the mentality that got you DFA'd, bro. Like, to me, like, it's not confidence, it's arrogance. And, like, the arrogance coming from a guy who's just not that good of a Major League Baseball player, like, it just makes me not like him, And I think.
Yeah, I won't pile on. I agree with those sentiments. I already said my piece earlier.
RL Topper also said Norby for Mason Miller. That ain't happening. If the Orioles could get
Norby and Kerstad and Povich and Dylan Beavers,
the Orioles could get Mason Miller straight for Connor Norby, you do that yesterday. Like, you do that in your sleep. The ghost of Billy Martin. Hyde got outmanaged last night. It was obvious that Kimbrel didn't have it, but he left him in. He burned out the bullpen in one game with 6 straight games coming up. I firmly agree with you. And I think he got outmanaged in the playoffs last year. He got outmanaged down the stretch when the Orioles had an opportunity to make the playoffs in 2022. He's getting better, but like he still gets outmanaged a good bit. Like, I tweeted last night, when are we going to stop pretending that the vibes that Brandon Hyde brings should outweigh his in-game managerial ability? And, like, I firmly believe that there's a number of managers that could have helped this team win 101 games last year because the players are just really good and really fun, and yeah, he cultivates that culture, and there's a lot to that, right? And a lot of this stuff is immeasurable, the camaraderie on that team. But when it comes to in-game managing, he leaves so much to be desired, in my opinion. My buddy tweeted me last night. He's like, imagine how much better this team would be if Buck Showalter was managing them. And I firmly believe they might be 20-5 if Showalter was here. But, that's my opinion. It may be wrong. It may be right. I don't know. Your thoughts?
It's tough to quantify. It's one of those things for me, like, how much credit should Bill Belichick get when his quarterback is Tom Brady? Or how much credit should LeBron James head coach be? Right? Like, it's so hard to say, but I think, it's more glaring when we have these tough losses that you can argue should have been wins. it's easy to put the blame on the manager because the players are so good. But I think, if we're talking about last night in particular, yeah, it wasn't Hyde's best game, but we lost because we scored 2
Yeah,
runs against Ross Stripling.
yeah,
That's
and because
what it
Ryan
comes
McKenna
down
played
to
right
for me.
field in the ninth inning. But no, excuse me.
Yeah.
Like I said, I tweeted out this morning. Losses happen. Offenses go stagnant. Pitching falters every now and again, but this team's still really good. When they lose 11-1 or 11-3 or 7-1 or 11-4, okay, you just got your ass handed to you. Like, what can I say other than, well, that sucked? Go get them again. Go get them tomorrow, boys. When you lose a game that you should have won, that you were leading in the ninth inning with your closer on the mound, and it's because of things that shouldn't have happened, that's when I get upset. And we are right to get upset about a game that what happened last night.
Sure. And it's not like we're sitting here saying this team should go 162-0. That's not the case. Sometimes you just get beat. But there are certain situations in which it feels like you let one slip away, and last night's one of those games.
Just about every team every year is going to win 50 and lose 50, and that's what you do in the other 62 games. It determines whether you're a good team or not. That's how it goes. We expect losses, but we also expect to win the games that you're supposed to win.
Yeah.
I don't trust anyone in the bullpen. Billy Martin, I don't trust anyone in the bullpen, the overused pen. I'm not going to go that far. Cano looked really good last night. Kimbrel has looked good until last night. Coulombe's been really good. And Jacob Webb has been good at times this year. I think that they're operating a couple men down. Once Tyler Wells gets back, he's going to go into that bullpen. Cionel Perez, once he gets back, if Dylan Tate can, get things ramped up a little bit, they've got reserves coming.
Yeah. And they're going to replace guys like Johan Ramirez and probably look, I know the team really likes Mike Baumann. I think his time is up. And then, if they need more space, I think Jacob Webb's next on the chopping block.
Yeah, for sure. Now, hopefully it's not in favor of a guy like Brian Baker, but we'll see. Billy has a lot to say. Our offense will get us to the playoffs, I hope, but after that, 2 guys in the rotation is all we have for now, man. Like, Dean Kramer has been pretty damn good this year. You've got Kyle Bradish, who's been looking amazing in his rehab assignment. He's been looking amazing, and he's on his way back. And look, again, the trade deadline exists. They're not just going to ignore this stuff. I can't imagine they're going to say, our bullpen is middling at best, but we're good. Our starting rotation has 2 starters, but we're good. Like, they're not going to do that. It's April. Like, it's April. Like, if we're still dealing with this in August, then okay, but I doubt that we will be. I very seriously doubt that we will be.
Yeah.
Adeet, there he is. Adeet Mamu. Maybe Elias was talking about the 2022 high school draft class in that quote. This is going back to him saying that
20-year-olds
about the players in his draft class that were his age. They're all at high A. That's a great point. That's a fair point. Although if you have a couple of 20-year-olds that are playing in the majors right now, they were likely drafted in 2022, unless they were drafted in 2021.
Churio, I know Churio was an international guy. Merrill, I think Jackson Merrill was. He wasn't last year, was he? Yes, Severna Park High School, I think.
Yeah.
Merrill might have been 2022, but I don't know.
No. I thought you were saying his age. AJ
no. His draft year.
Pathetic. They brought up Ryan McKenna and not Connor Norby. We discussed that earlier in the show. They didn't want to bring up Connor Norby because he's not going to play much, and they want to have a guy. They wanted that roster flexibility where if they need to DFA somebody, they have no problem DFAing Ryan McKenna. They would not DFA Connor Norby, and it limits their roster flexibility.
Yeah.
If Norby
McKenna this time.
Yeah, Norby's. Please. Why does the team that won 101 games this team won 101 games last year? You should be, happy. Like, we are happy, 1, but 2, this team won 101 games last year. Why they need Ryan McKenna when no other team? And every other team had a chance to claim him, and they didn't. Every other team had a chance to get him, and they didn't do it. So it kind of shows you who Ryan McKenna is.
Yep.
Fat Albert was his.
Jackson Merrill was drafted in 2021.
AJ Mukherjee. Fat Albert was the steal of the century. I won't cry over Trevor Bauer anymore. 2 starts in. We watched Spencer Watkins have a couple good starts and then get his taters ripped off. So
same with I have strong flashbacks to Mike Wright, who I think had 14 2/3 scoreless innings over his first 2 starts and then became Mike Wright. I want to believe in Suarez. I do believe. Look, Suarez has good stuff. I think he is a legitimate option to give this team some really good innings over the course of the year. But I want to see more than a 2-start sample before I crown him.
Kimbrel has been great despite last night. That is absolutely correct. He has been great. Pitchers go through that sometimes. So like I pitch, and I pitched last week, for example. Again, when I say I pitch, I'm just talking about the experience of pitching and what can happen. Not like pitching at like a high level. Like, let's be realistic here. But like I pitched last week, the first inning, I threw like 10 pitches, like 8 strikes, and I got 3 outs. The next inning, there were a couple of errors, but I ended up walking like 4 guys, and I just couldn't find my arm slot, and I couldn't get the ball over the plate. It happens. You lose your arm slot, your mechanics get a little bit off. It's a tight game. You want to keep things where they are, and then you start rushing things, trying to figure it out like on the fly. It happens. I'm not worried about Craig Kimbrel at all. AJ also says, bring on the Spankies. Absolutely. Absolutely. Like, I'm ready. Like, I think the Orioles. I think the Orioles are the better team. I think that they're. Of course, it'll be that series that Aaron Judge gets hot and then starts bitching about how he had 2 homers. He had 2 homers in a game against the Orioles, and then he had a third one that went off the top of the wall, and then he bitched about the wall. Shut the hell up. Anyway, we get Bradish back. They get Garrett Cole back. Bradish, we are getting back. Garrett Cole, he's still probably a month away, and I don't know that they're going to get him back. It hasn't been determined yet. With Bradish, they said it was a grade 1 sprain with his UCL. I was pretty confident that they were going to get him back, especially when I saw him throwing with force and being fine and not having soreness afterwards after the PRP injection. So I don't know what the prognosis is with Garrett Cole. I know that it wasn't good to start. We'll get Bradish back well before they get Cole back.
Yeah, I'm not in tune with what the goings on of the Yankees. I don't know if there's any talk about him starting a rehab assignment. I don't know if he's throwing it all yet. I don't have a clue, but what I do know is that Bradish looks really good, and he's going to be back, middle of May.
Exactly, if not sooner. Ravens having a great draft so far. Holliday Sons last night stole the show. That's yep. Football though, football.
Yeah, Steelers suck. He had his kids shout "Steelers suck" into the mic, and they all were perfectly
if they end up
each other too.
Becoming NFL players and any of them get drafted by the Steelers, that video is going to play a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Why aren't you two taking McKenna, Urias, or Mateo for take to rake? We took them last week. We can't take them this week. There was a time last year where we would have taken Mateo. There was, and he's been and he's been okay to this point in his role. I think that this is the best role for him. Part-time guy who pinch runs, plays a little bit of defense, and when he starts against lefties, he usually gets a hit. Yeah.
Speaking of take to rake, so going forward, we talked about I'm going to miss a few shows while I'm coaching t-ball for my godson. Do you want me to text you on Saturdays my take to rake, or do you want to just do it with whoever's hosting?
You can text me. I was actually thinking about that. We'll do it with who's hosting too, just to not leave them out. You know what I mean?
Sure, yeah.
You can text me your takes, but we'll have to determine before the show even starts. Like, I'll have to make sure that I have it up to date so that so that you're not picking if you didn't win. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I can give you like 2 or 3 in order of, we'll figure that out.
Judge does not look right. You think he is hiding an injury? I haven't watched any of his games to know whether or not he's hiding an injury.
I think we know that. I don't think he's hiding an injury. He has a toe injury that is supposed to impact him the rest of his career, from what I understand.
Oh, the rest of his career?
Yeah, it's like something that he was just like, I'm just gonna have to deal with this now. Like, So I don't know if that's what's impacting his game, but he doesn't look good right now.
I've had turf toe in the past, man. It hurts. Like, there were times I had it for like 3 weeks one time, and I remember trying to play golf, and it was excruciating. Like, it was absolutely excruciating. Like, it's no joke. Like, I can't imagine playing Major League Baseball with that kind of toe pain. So like, maybe it is the toe issue. The fact that you've got, which toe is it? Is left or is right?
I'm looking for that. I know it says he said in a quote to the Associated Press, it's going to be, I think, a constant maintenance thing for the rest of my career with that toe, so that it doesn't. You just got to stay on top of it so it doesn't flare up again. Oh, was it? Yeah, it's a torn ligament in his toe. It happened on the play where he made the catch at Dodger Stadium and then plowed through the wall.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't say in this article. I don't want to look for too long.
Either way,
yeah.
if it's his left toe, you got to plant. You got to step into the pitch and plant your foot and turn on it. If it's your back toe, you're squishing the bug with that back toe. Either way, it's probably really painful. And let's be honest about this, guys. Look at Giancarlo Stanton. Look at Tony Clark. Look at Aaron Judge. All of these guys are 6'7" and like just huge. Like, you're not meant to play. A body is not meant to be that big. And when it is that big, it's certainly not meant to play 162 games in 180 days, plus spring training, plus the playoffs. Like, a body at that size is not built for this type of a schedule.
Yeah.
So, like, that's why, like, you'll never see me pick Aaron Judge to win an MVP or to lead the league in homers, because as good as he is injured. He spends considerable time on the IL in a season more often than he doesn't. Yeah. I think he's played 7 or 8 years, and he's got 3 full seasons under his belt. 2 of those full seasons, he hit over 50 home runs. Like, his body is not meant to take that kind of punishment. Right. Like, and that's why Giancarlo Stanton, who has also been injured a lot, but he's not the hitter he used to be. Yeah, he'll still hit 120-mile-an-hour home runs, but he's not going to be the hitter that he used to be as far as average is concerned, because his body's wearing down on him. It's too big. They're too big. You know? They should have played basketball.
Stanton jogs around the bases even if there's going to be a close play at the plate, because the Yankees told him to, because they don't want him to get hurt. Mm-hmm. Like, it takes a toll. And in Judge's situation, I don't think people realize how important your toes are until you don't have full use of one of them.
Yep.
Like, everything starts from the ground up. Every fundamental piece of baseball starts with balance, and you get balance with your lower half, and your lower half starts with your feet. Like,
dude, have you ever just trying to walk with that kind of toe pain? You're the rest. Like, if you that leg, you are trying to take all pressure off of that toe.
Yeah.
You're walking on the side of your foot. It makes your calf hurt. It makes your knee hurt. It makes your hip hurt. Like, it affects the entire leg and the entire way that you walk. It is no joke. Mm-mm. And I can't imagine playing Major League Baseball every single day with that kind of an injury. No way.
Yeah.
No way. We have gone way too long. We got to get out of here. Thank you to all of our sponsors for sponsoring us. Without you, we don't have a show. Thank you to all of our loyal listeners, viewers, fans, if we're cool enough to have fans. Without you, we certainly don't have a show. Ryan, thanks to you. As always, have a great bachelor weekend. It's probably the most epic weekend I've heard of if you're a sports fan. So have at it and have a great time, and make sure you get back. You know what I mean?
You got it.
You got some T-ball to coach. So
I will be taking the hydration station with me. I will not be drinking water out of it, but I hope to come back in one piece.
I'm sure that you will. Until next week, everybody.